it's very hard because you can't, for a 6-year-old, you can't advise them, can you really? You can't advise a 6-year-old because they don't understand. They don't understand what's going on. But you can advise the parents and just be a bit like, as hard as it may be for you, you understand what's going on. You know, you've got the luxury, so to speak, of education behind you and this, that and the other. So when something happens, you can get all the facts and you can understand them in your own way. A 6-year-old can't. A 5-year-old can't. They don't have education on their side. They've only just started. So they barely know they don't really know the English language that well. So do you know what I mean? To be able to comprehend or to give them support in that is very hard. So for me, it would be to speak to the parents and just say, as hard as it may be, just try to make sure that you are on top of everything for your healthy child, because things do get fallen by the waistline, and they do, and that's natural, and that's not blaming my parents for anything, that's not digging them out, that's not blaming any other parents for doing anything, because they all do the best job that they can, that they know how to do, and with what support is out there as well for them. But it's just to be on top of everything for your healthy child as well, and just so they know, and be honest with them. My parents were brutally honest with me growing up. Do you know what I mean? If I asked Barry if Barry was going to die, they'd tell me yes. You know, they were brutally honest with me. And I now, being the age I am, I'm so grateful that they've done that, because I think that could have led to a lot worse things for me in adult life. Do you know what I mean? I've already twisted things in my adult brain to what they said when I was little to support me. So if they hadn't have done that, God knows what would have happened. So yeah, if they to look for support like that, to make sure that just the things that every single person in this world takes, not every single person because some people don't have it, but the majority of the world takes for granted, is your parent or a parent being there to make your packed lunch for school, or to put milk in your cereal in the morning so that you can have your breakfast, and not having to be 5 years old and go into the kitchen and getting the cereal and getting the milk out yourself and doing it, because it's not really something that children of that age should be doing. Yes, as they get older they should, but not when they're that age. And we all think it's just children that are neglected that have to go through that, but there's a lot of other children that go through it that are not neglected in any way, shape or form, but they've got a disabled sibling. So to make it to be not a taboo subject, a bit like mental health, a bit like all of that, you know, for it not to be a taboo subject, for it not to be that they're weird or that they're not normal. Do you know what I mean? Because they're normal for them. That's their normality, you know, and their family's normality. It might not be the same as everybody else's, but then nor is everybody else's the same as everyone else's. So I think it's educating people on it, and it's educating like the effects that having a disabled child sibling can have on a family as well. Do you know what I mean? And because the effects are seemingly at the moment endless. Do you know what I mean? Like physically, I'm sure my mum probably has back problems now, because, you know, at 5'2" or 3, you know, before Barry dying, it's nearly 6 foot, having to carry him, having to carry a dead weight, you know, so she has back problems or things like that, you know, but psychological problems and mental health and things like that. It has such an effect on people that educating everybody about it is key. Okay, so basically it was just after I left here and I watched my mum's video on caring for Barry, it was the first time since everything happened that I actually heard what my mum was saying. I heard her for the first time, and it was just, I panicked. I felt that the last video was very much my little boy talking, my 5-year-old talking, instead of me as an adult and taking into consideration what my parents had gone through as well. So, and I remember in the last time when I was here for the interview, I remember stating about considering what other people go through and what people are going through in them situations, and it kind of just hit me that I have not considered that once in this whole time, and it really panicked me. Do you know what I mean? That I was trying to give advice, but I hadn't taken it myself, or I hadn't taken heed of anything that has happened in my parents' life. So I just kind of I didn't want the other video to be deleted or anything like that, because I just think it's still all relative. That was all still true, because they were feelings that I had, but I just wanted to say that, you know, do take into consideration what other people are going through as well. You know, the counselling that I'm going through is helping me leaps and bounds, which is why I was able to recognise that as well. I felt, for me personally, I felt in the other video, when I remembered it, it felt to me that I was finger pointing a lot, of telling parents what to do and things like that. I still stand by some of it, of like, obviously make sure you are trying to manage your time properly and things like that, but you know, the advice that I'd want to give really is to, if you have watched my mum's video, really take heed of her advice and have the help, whatever help you can get, to make sure you do, and make sure you don't go through it alone, and make sure, because with that help, like my mum said, if she had her time again, she would have taken more help with Barry, because it may have freed up more time for me as well.